Focus. Yes, this is real. This is where we are. You give them an inch and they end up taking your back hole. Even feminism is not woke enough. Actually, it's kind of funny to see feminists get screwed over in this whole cluster F that is America. They do bear a lot of the responsibility. Giving them the vote was a terminal mistake. The 19th Amendment single-handedly destroyed America. Feminism was taking power, but a group of mentally ill men decided to snatch that power away from them in the great Terf wars of 2015 to 2020. Women were the fairer, more delicate sex. Now men in makeup are better women than actual women. And honestly, it's kind of hard to decide what side to take. I guess I will support the dudes because I actually do have trans bros, and feminists are so damn annoying. So let's go trans rights, I guess. I actually had one or two trans followers, but one of them went back to just being a normal gay dude. So I guess he wasn't really trans to start with. Anyway, this chick didn't say anything too crazy, but it's 2020. Whatever the cultural zeitgeist is, you just got to keep your head down if you're in the public, if you're a public face on social media. Otherwise, evil, petty tyrants will get you fired because you have a different belief from them. That's why I always preface my stances with, as a Jewish woman, I believe so-and-so. It lets people know that I have a perfectly reasonable explanation for my behavior. So if you identify as Jewish or Muslim, be sure to let people know. But be warned, Christianity will buy you no such protections. Literary assistant Sasha White, sounds like a porn name, fired for, well, let's see what for. By her employer for comments that made a distinction between biological and trans women. I don't know who did the art on that, but that is a fantastic drawing. White made a number of comments and retweeted others, including Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling on two different Twitter handles. On her professional Twitter account, she retweeted various posts that discussed and made a distinction between men and women. On the retweet, referenced Rowling's opinions and stated, she said nothing bigoted and that sex is a biological fact and is real. No shit. 50% of the population is female, and said females have every right to discuss their oppression and experiences without being told that they're bigots. Yes, and so do men. White also retweeted Rowling's own explanation of her opinions towards transgender individuals and added that the author's words were powerfully nuanced and insightful. So there's nothing crazy here. She's not saying, I don't know, like you expect her to say, I think they should be staked out Vlad the Impaler style. That'll show those guys. No, she just says there's a difference between men and women. Pronouns suck. Yeah, because that's why I say preface it with the Muslim or Jewish thing, because you're telling people you've got a religious reason that you can't, I don't know, Leviticus or whatever the Quran equivalent in the Quran is, because Quran's got quite a few quotes. 434 is about the kind of the one of the. There's a lot in both of those Abrahamic faiths that deal with men and women. So if you preface your statement with that, you've got some. At least you're giving them a reasonable explanation. Whether or not they feel religion is reasonable, who knows? But in the politically correct world of 2020, attacking a Muslim or a Jewish woman is kind of a no-no. I think pronouns suck because thinking of people as they and them and pretending they're not male or female is like color, race, blindness for gender. It won't help sexism or toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. She sounds like she's actually kind of a pain in the ass. She sounds like a toxic female, a toxic feminist. But she has the right to be that. And she hasn't said anything that a non-mentally ill person would spurg out about and try to get you fired for. Men and women have unique and distinct experiences which should be acknowledged, examined, and critiqued, but not obfuscated. White then added gender nonconformity with acceptance of biological reality, successfully defines gender roles, but switching pronouns reinforces these same roles. Exactly. If you followed that, it took me a sec to think about that. Yeah, if gender is a social construct, then the pronouns don't matter. So, I prefer to be used she and her, but do the pronouns matter or they don't matter? Because ultimately, if things do matter, then you got to go with the biological reality, not your mere preference. She also reacted to a Pink News story. Follow them on Twitter. They are hysterical. They're completely nuts. Look at the guy who owns Pink News. He's just a whack job. Okay, so some chick was in the female restroom, and she thought some guy was coming in there to assault her or rob her, and she probably pushed him away or something. And listen, if you're in a bathroom, you're already kind of in a vulnerable spot. You really don't want some big guy in there who's statistically more likely to commit crime against you than a woman. They just want to go to the bathroom. Except it makes proving cases harder when you do have crimes against them, because if men are not allowed in the ladies' room, then you've shifted that burden of proof quite substantially to, well, why were you unexcused? What is your explanation? What is your reasonable explanation for essentially trespassing? Oh, well, I mean, nowadays you just say, oh, I'll identify as a woman. I was using the woman's room. Okay, that makes the burden of proof much harder. She retweeted a tweet, discussed the difference in male and women violence on male and trans women violence. Oh, God, I can't say this on YouTube, but do you look at who's committing the violence against trans women? I'll leave it at that. We're not women because we are vulnerable to male violence. You're women because you're XX. That's what a woman is. You're not a woman if you can reproduce or not reproduce, or if you have vagina, breasts, or an ovary. Ultimately, it's your genetics make you a woman. I say, oh, just because I can't have kids, I'm not a woman? No, that's fucking retarded. That doesn't make any sense. There are any number of reasons you couldn't have kids. You choose not to have kids, a birth defect, or you're injured, or you've aged out of it, whatever. You're still a biological woman if you're a biological woman. It's not, you've got the correlation causation backwards. So being vulnerable to male violence does not make you a woman. It makes you a subgroup of males who are vulnerable to male violence because you're gender non-conforming. Fair enough. I don't know how YouTube feels about talking about traps. That might be a reason for some of the violence. I'm not really up on trans violence. Her comments sparked a wave of backlash against White that eventually resulted in her dismissal. One user wrote, okay, here we come to this. What a pig douche. What a douchebag. Is a publishing agent who doesn't believe in honoring my pronouns. Then they asked, you require the authors you represent to change their pronouns to what you agree with. Well, she didn't say that. And she didn't say she would, like, ultimately you would just find another agent, wouldn't you, if they didn't want to work with you. It's like, you don't have to honor anyone's pronouns. Don't. If it's part of your sincerely held belief not to lie, or part of your religious belief, or whatever, that's up to you. Honor your pronouns. Up to you. I would, because, just whatever. I know these people. But okay, if you don't honor somebody's pronouns, they're just not going to hang out with you or do business with you or whatever. And that's the case with this literary agent. The thing is, all this stuff is done via email anyway, or on a website. You're never going to meet this person in person. So if someone tells you, my pen name is, I don't know, Miss Sandy, they're never going to know what you look like. They're just going to take your thing for publication, edit it, and help you get it published. None of this comes up. So who's the bad guy when you've got this person on Twitter, this anonymous person, Says a secret account exists for a Terf that works in the publishing industry to express all their transphobic views in the name of radical feminism. So now feminism is bad because basically you got men speaking out against feminism, which is freaking hysterical. He adds, I am disgusted by the filth I read. It terrifies me to think this person has the power to gatekeep trans authors. Again, they would never know you're trans or not. You're dealing with somebody via computer. You don't even need to list your pronouns because they see that you have a miss or a Mr. or a Ms. in front of your name. None of this makes sense. This is all straw man arguments. And if they did gatekeep you, you would just go to another publisher or you would ask for another agent. They stated, why would livelihoods... Okay, because they say... This guy says, thank you for proving that trans lives matter, but women's livelihoods don't. It's all about hating and bullying women out of their careers and livelihoods. Shame on you. Yeah, essentially that's what you're doing. You're getting somebody fired. And then the mentally ill trans creature says, why would livelihoods matter more than lives? A life will always hold more. Yeah, except you're not affected by this. They're not hurting you. It's not an assault or battery. There's no damage done to you. There's no even pecuniary damage done to you. Your feelings got hurt because you didn't get someone. You can't force someone to bow to the mob. Actually, I saw that video. The BLM was going around forcing people to raise their fist in the Black Power submission sign. And some people did and some people didn't. And the people who didn't were yelled at by an angry mob, and they didn't do it. They didn't raise their fist. And one of the chick who was later interviewed, and she was a Mexican lady who was being yelled at by these white kids. She said, yeah, I'm for Black Lives Matter. I march in all the parades they do and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't raise my fist because they were forcing me to. So this is a chick who's on the left, and if she's for Black Lives Matter, then she's probably on the far left. So you're seeing a schism in the left. So the thing is, you only see this kind of stuff on Twitter. You're not going to see it even on YouTube too much. I post it on my alt channel, but you're not going to see it on CNN. They're not going to show this. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.